Yeah.
Yeah. So, hold up, I gotta shut that off. So, yeah, so I went climbing for the first time, and I went with three friends, two of them very experienced. I think one of them's climbed more than 10 years.
Hmm.
And it was my first shot at it. I've seen it a lot. Have you noticed that it's kind of taking off in Korea? Have you heard
Yeah.
from
Actually, my
friends?
wife's coworker, she works at a public school. She's kind of ripped in an odd way. Like, and so
Yeah,
I think my wife and I and she were talking, and the woman was explaining to my wife that she's like, yeah, I climb. That's my hobby. And it's just like, oh, what an interesting hobby. But you do really, really get good muscle definition by doing it. So,
yeah. I've seen climbing walls around, out in the city. There's some outdoor ones. There's one really close to me right here by Seoul Station. It's on the side of a building. Maybe
yeah.
someone owns the building or something. But so anyway, my buddies, they took me to this place. It's an indoor gym. This was in Hongdae. And I felt like I was on the top of a department store. And it was big. I mean, there was probably between 50 and 100 people, maybe.
Oh, that's
And
huge. Yeah.
yeah, I think, yeah, about. And the climbing wall kind of snaked around. So it's kind of neat. You can start on one end and work your way down.
Hmm.
And uh, so what I wanted to talk about, the reason I brought this up was how I wasn't expecting there to be a culture of climbing. You know what I mean? Like I just thought it'd be a gym.
Yeah.
Like, the usual thing, guys grunting, chucking weights and whatever, like your usual experience, people in their own little zone, waiting in line to use things and like gyms. And this wasn't a gym at all. There was no other equipment. It was just the climbing wall, this huge wall, like I said, continuous horizontal wall, maybe less than 2 stories tall. There was no rope, so definitely less than 2 stories tall. I mean, like I think my feet would be like the height of a regular house ceiling. Is be like the height that I got to.
Oh, so if
Um,
you fall down, there's no one's pulling a rope and
no,
stopping you
no,
from
there's like
dangling. Okay.
it's like the entire length of the wall is a mat
Okay.
that's very thick. And then when people are climbing in front of you, you can't stand on it. That's like for safety, basically.
Yeah, yeah, right.
And I got to basically one of the top handholds, it's like the highest you can climb.
Yeah.
And I just let go. It was far enough that I could not land stably on my feet, like I tumbled.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You're not gonna get hurt. I mean, if you could land on your ankle or something goofy, I guess, or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, so there's no harnesses or anything like that. You have to wear climbing shoes, which for me was horrible. I've got giant feet. I wear a size 12, and
Oh,
climbing
wow.
shoes are small to begin with.
I'm a size 14. I wonder if they even
You're
have
doomed.
those.
They wouldn't like it. They take one look at your feet and be like, get out.
They'd be like, do we have any clown shoes that we could
Yeah.
provide for this guy?
I
Yeah.
It got
Yeah.
so painful. My both my big toes started bleeding, and the joints in my toes. I mean, I was just cramped up. It was ridiculous.
Hmm.
Um, I had to just take them off between climbs, which is okay. So when you're climbing, you need to take little breaks in between climbs to let your muscles relax. So it worked out all right. Anyway, I wasn't gonna.
Sure.
I'm not trying to complain about my woes with the climbing. What I wanted to talk about is the culture.
Yeah.
So this is what I didn't expect. I get into this place and it's not a gym really at all. This place, if you just look down the wall at everybody and all the people, the first thing you will notice is cell phones on tripods about 1 foot off the ground, lining the entire base of the mat. Like if there's 100 people, there's 70 cell phones recording video.
Okay.
Everybody's recording their climbs. So I'm sure like today I'm on TikTok, I'm on YouTube, I'm on Instagram, the crazy bald white guy,
Yeah,
getting in the way.
yeah.
So everybody's has these cameras set up recording their climbs. The second thing you'll notice is everyone is in a group. It's a party. Everybody is there to get down. There's groups of people, some of them were like 10 people, and they must be clubs, and they're trying to do one climb. So they're hitting the same colors, like the same route. And I asked my buddy, I said, that looks like a crazy route. He's like, yeah, that's new. So they can move and add different handholds and things. So
Oh,
when the
okay.
yeah, so when the climbing center changes the things, it makes a new challenge. So there's all these people together, and they're all going for it, probably because nobody's done it before or something like this. So it's kind of
Right.
exciting.
And so
And they're cheering.
they're trying to figure out like, okay, what are the which handholds are you supposed to, what's the next one? What's the
Totally,
next one?
totally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So they're all like discussing strategy together.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's like this in the States. So if any listeners are listening to this stateside or anywhere else, I felt like this was maybe a very Korean experience, especially with all the cameras. And the other thing that I noticed, probably the third thing I noticed, is all of the people there, the age was really a tight band. It was like 20 to 30 year olds.
Okay. 20 to 30.
And
All right.
the girls are wearing makeup. Um,
Girls are
there's
wearing
all
makeup. Well,
yeah, there's
when
there was
you solve the when you finally beat the challenge or whatever, you want to look good, when you
well, yeah, you're
when
recording,
you
it's all
turn.
on video,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
There was compared to the average 20 to 30-year-old in Korean, there was a disproportionate amount of tattoos, lots of tattoos. I saw hand tattoos, neck tattoos, full sleeves, lots of ink in this place.
Wow.
Like this is a anti-society climbing culture going on.
Yeah.
Um, the guys, for the most part, are wearing longer shorts, which would make sense. You're climbing, you don't want to be, hanging your balls out. So they got
Right,
a
right,
little,
right.
yeah, a little longer shorts or baggy pants and t-shirt and or tank tops. And then the girls, most of them are wearing like super, super tight. Like, and then you see this in the gym sometimes, but if you go to a gym in Korea, you
Yeah.
get there's clothes there for you to use, and 90% of people use those clothes in the gym. Otherwise, the 10% bring their own. That's not what's happening here. Everybody's wearing like really, especially for the girls, they're all wearing super tight spandex. They're showing off their bodies, and it's nice clothes. It's they're wearing Lululemon, I think, or like these like nicer brands.
Yeah,
So it's
yeah.
a fashion
Really, really
show.
tight Adidas or something like that,
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, yeah. Not like perving out, but I mean, looking down the line, you're
No,
talking
no.
about
I
body
know what you
clothes.
mean.
It's
It's athletic
you can
wear,
see
but skin
you can
tight.
see
Yeah.
the muscle definition in a girl's legs going up the wall. I mean, these people are cut, but it's
Yeah.
like you're saying, they're not. You don't. I expected there to be. I don't know why. I just thought, gym climbing. I never watched climbing. I never really cared about it. I expected to see people that were bulky. I don't know, just like muscular. It's a strength thing, but
Yeah.
the average body type is really lean, really, really lean.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, so yeah, the culture was the thing that surprised me the most. It was like this is and the fourth thing, the price. How much do you think it is to go to the gym? Like for this, not the gym, this climbing center. How much do you think it would be for me to walk in there? I got to rent
It,
shoes.
I'm just, my mind is going straight to like the American uh analog of what this would be, and it would be, I'm thinking 4 to 5 guys with, white guys with dreadlocks, beards, wearing their, self-made, sleeveless shirt that they cut so they can, show off their muscles, and it's going to
Yeah.
probably cost you 50 or 60 bucks to, for an hour or something like that.
Well,
I don't
it
know.
was nowhere near that expensive,
Yeah.
but I still think it was 25,000. So in USD, like $20 or $19. But I thought that was rather impressive
Yeah.
because while it was cheaper than what you might expect in the States, if like my friend who of my friends that I went with, the guy that goes there the most often, he works next door. So he goes right after work and he hits it 3 days a week. So He probably has a membership. I didn't ask him about it, but the one-off cost for me being 25,000 won, I mean, that's fine. I'm a professor. I've got, I'm not rich, but 25,000 bucks. If I'm doing it once a week, maybe that's $100 a month or a little
Yeah,
more.
yeah,
That's doable. It's expensive. Gym membership is like 70 a month
yeah,
for a gym. So, and you can get better deals than that. So I was just surprised at how many student aged people are forking over this type of money.
yeah.
Uh, and I think it's because it's not a gym. It's not the gym experience. You're paying for to be in that culture. They got the music blasting, and you got, you know, girls walking around being all sexy and people showing off to each other. You got the video recording going on. You got the socializing. It's just really intense.
Yeah, I think was something I noticed when I did jujitsu, it was $100 a month, which I was kind of surprised. I thought that was a little bit expensive. And I mean, I was happy to pay for it, but what I noticed was that this is a social club. Like
Yeah.
this is not just jujitsu. I think part of it has to do with the fact that in Korea, even if you have a small friend group, you're either just, loitering around town, like, well, let's walk over to this park and smoke some cigarettes. Maybe we can buy some soju. It's not, there's nothing to really do because you can't hang out at someone's house, it's not
Yeah,
going
it's
into
always a
someone's
funny little,
basement.
yeah,
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 it's like, hey, I got a Fender Strat for Christmas. Let's go jam in my basement for
yeah.
3 hours after school. There is none of that stuff. And so they need to do something organized,
Mhm.
and so you look for something. And I think people are a lot more health conscious these days too. It's
Mhm.
not, I don't necessarily think going out and getting drunk every night is as appealing as it used to be for people, because I think they're starting to see
Yeah,
the dead end that is. It's like your
I
body looks
swear
like shit. And
it could be because
yeah,
like we're older, like we've been here for a long time.
yeah,
But man, I feel, I might just be telling my own story, but in the last 10 years, I feel like the the sloppy drinking culture's receding. I
yes,
was
I
talking to a buddy of
agree.
mine who lived here when I came here the first time originally in Busan, like was it 14 years ago or something, and I saw him over the summer when I went back to the States, and he was remarking about that part of Korean culture, and I didn't know how to say it. I kind of felt like, nah, man, it's just that's not what my students are really into. It's there still is that thing going on,
Of
but it
course,
just
there
feels like
always
it's
will
turned
be.
way down.
There's almost like a judgment to, yeah, just this again could be totally anecdotal, but the idea of like being the sloppy funny drunk is neither funny nor charming anymore. You know what I mean? People
Maybe.
people are just kind of sick of it. It's just like, uh we don't do that anymore, like
I don't know,
getting
man.
really
Maybe
drunk. And
we might have some bias as we hit 40, I mean, come on. Like
yeah,
maybe
that's true,
maybe
that's
we just
true.
left the party, that's where we're boring. That might be what it's at. I don't know.
That could be true. That could be true. I'm sure there are still, party animals and stuff like that. But it's just like that whole. I'll tell you what. Like, even like within Hollywood, I've noticed that even in whereas the kind of drunk party animal frat guy used to be the hero of a lot of movies, they're now the anti-hero. It's we've entered into a nerd culture kind of. And when I say
Well,
nerd culture, I even include like climbing in that, because it's like it's this kind of esoteric thing that's
you get a little
just like,
obsessed about it. Well, the thing about it,
yeah,
everybody's measuring things too. If you look down again at that climbing gym, if you just look down the wall, you're going to see probably more than half of the people are wearing a fitness watch. You know,
yeah,
got probably more than half. Yeah, I would say probably more than 3/4 are wearing a fitness watch. Probably more than half are Apple Watches.
Right.
And everybody's tracking everything now. Yeah. So yeah, among the, I was there with 3 people. So of the 4 of us, 3 of us had a fitness device.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, so I think that that's a good thing. And I love to see it in Korea, especially because I feel like in Korea, when something gets that critical mass, everybody kind of runs to it, which is why I think right now climbing must be really hot. I've had a lot of
Yeah.
students
Yeah.
that tell me that's what they're getting into. Running was a big thing around COVID, and it's still popping off. I've got so many students that are not just running, but they're doing endurance running, which I love. So it's something I'm able to talk a lot with students about. I mean, today I had a lot of counseling, and yeah, you're seeing more of it too.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, when I came to Korea the first time again, I was down in Busan. I lived right on Haeundae Beach, and I would run the beach. I think I might have mentioned this on podcast before. It's worth mentioning again. I remember running that beach by myself.
Yeah.
Haeundae,
Yeah.
like
That's
super
crazy.
famous,
Yeah.
giant
Yeah.
city
Yeah.
with 6 million people. I'm alone on a
You're kind of
beautiful
like,
morning.
is this the end of the world? Did I miss
Yeah,
something? Yeah.
you look back
Yeah.
at the buildings, and it's like there's a glass wall. Like, why isn't anybody out here?
Yeah.
I'm sure that's finished. I'm sure there's runners now. Namsan, when I
Yeah.
run, I always see at least one or two, even in the rain and snow. And if it's a beautiful day, there's groups, there's clubs. They're wearing matching t-shirts. I've seen matching shoes. That's a commitment, man.
I
That's
know.
cost.
We're going yellow, guys. All right.
Yeah, you
Um,
gotta have those shoes. You're not in the
the
club.
the thing that I really appreciate about Korea, which probably 20 years ago I would have rolled my eyes at, but the idea that if you're gonna when they decide to go all in towards some fitness activity, let's say like a running club or and I'm just trying to think of like all the different clubs, because bicycling is another one, like cycling
Mm,
clubs, running
tennis.
clubs, mountain climbing clubs, hiking clubs. They really go all the way, and they go out and buy all the attire that
Mhm.
they're not just like, for me, if I joined a hiking club, I would like pull out my old shoes and maybe a
Yeah.
mismatched pair of socks and a t-shirt, and I'm like, well, I'm gonna sweat anyway, so why do I care? And then I look like I don't know,
Like the
homeless
homeless guy.
guy. Yeah,
Yeah,
right.
climbing the
Yeah.
mountain. What's wrong with that guy?
Where the hell did you find this guy? Oh, he was behind a dumpster in Itaewon. He looks sad. Um, but they just go all the way in. They go all the way in. They're 100% in. And I think I understand it. It's not a fashion thing. I think it's just like an investment thing. Like they're saying, if I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna go
Yeah.
all the way. You
That's how I
know,
like to see it. I think it's stoke. I think
I
it's
like
just
it
stoke.
too. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's like
I
if I'm a climber, like you're looking at all the people in the gym, there's, the chalk for your hands, right? You know?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And yeah, so uh, the gym, I probably provide stuff like this. No, everybody's got their own bottle of liquid chalk, and they've got their own little baggie, and they've got, you know, their special water bottle that says like I'm a climber, and uh,
Yes.
you know, it's that stoke. It's being just super amped about it. I
Yeah.
enjoy this. I can relate to it because I'm an absolute nerd about running. Like I have a very expensive running belt. There's no purpose. Nobody needs an expensive running belt. That's a
Yeah.
dumb thing to say. But I have one. I love it because it makes me like feel fast. I don't know. That's
Yeah, yeah,
just
yeah.
I like it. I've got 2 running jackets. One of them was like, oh, I hope my mom doesn't hear this podcast. She'd slap me, but it's like $500. Why?
Yeah.
Because it's awesome. That's why.
Mm. No, I'm with you. I'm with you 100%. And like in America, athletes will do that, like high school basketball players and college basketball players will get the fanciest gear, wristbands,
Yeah.
all that stuff. Because when you're playing at the competitive level, but these people are amateurs, but they're
Yeah.
still they're still going for it. And I used to, like I said, I used to roll my eyes at it, but now I kind of respect it. I'm like, good for you. Like if you found your thing and it makes you happy and it keeps you healthy, then I don't think there's any amount of money that isn't worth spending if you're gonna, as long as it's not collecting dust in your house, you
Yeah,
know?
but and
Yeah.
we talked about this a little bit in the previous podcast where we interviewed my little music project with Stefan.
Yeah, yeah.
So one of the really, and I've also referenced this a few times over the year, one of the things that I just love about Korea, living in a city, not just Korea, but in Seoul, living in a massive city like this, is the turnover rate. If you get, you can buy stuff and yeah, you can go all in, and if you've got to liquidate, it's not hard because there's so many freaking people here,
Yeah.
and you can get rid of gear like that. Like, so as I was saying, I think it was before we started rolling the camera, at the gym at the climbing place, I have giant feet. I have a size 12, and so when I go looking at them renting climbing shoes, I walk down the entire rack. I know where I'm headed here. I got to get down to the end. Been, played this game before, and I put on they had a size 12, it said, and I know they climbing shoes run small, but yeah, just like murdered my feet. So now if I want to go climbing again, absolutely, I can't do those shoes again. I have to buy some.
Yeah.
Well, if I go online, I probably got to drop $100.
Yeah.
But there's a chance, well, maybe shoes are a bad example. I probably can't find a size 12 climbing shoe in
Well,
Korea.
carrot. You never
Yeah,
know.
yeah, you
Yeah.
never know. There might be another like freak out there.
Yeah.
Freakish by Korean standards. I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure.
Not freakish
Yeah,
by Jack standards.
yeah. But like,
14.
but there are people doing eccentric things like podcast. Nobody can see this. I'm holding up a guitar pedal. So like, this is like a boutique designer guitar pedal. Um, I think it was like somewhere between $300 and $500. Uh, I could turn this over and get like 75-80% of my money out of it.
Yeah.
So it's a fun place to live, versus being in like, Colorado or something. You're able to experiment with your hobbies that way. And I do agree with you too, the feeling of um stoke. I think when you throw a little money at your hobbies, it makes you want to do it more, you know?
Yes. Like
Yeah.
having a little skin in the game
Yeah.
is a huge, I mean, especially if I mean, I'm starting to understand this, like this Udi thing. It's like if you join the club and once you're accepted into the group, which might take a couple of the first couple of days, you might feel like nobody wants to be my partner.
Mm.
Nobody knows if I'm any good. If you can just get over that hump, they'll call you up. They'll encourage you. I felt that way with jujitsu because when I first walked in, I was a glorified dummy. You know what I mean? Like, oh, awesome, a white belt. I get to twist this guy into a human pretzel. Um, I heard this joke a while back, and I thought it was really funny. It's what do you call jujitsu? It's called the art of folding laundry while the person is still wearing the clothes, something like that.
I think I've seen
So
this one. Yeah.
yeah, and that's how I felt, like they just basically beat the hell out of me for I was ear to ear smiling, like it was just so much fun, even though I was getting destroyed. But after a certain amount of time, a couple of guys would help me out and show me a couple of things, and there was a certain camaraderie. It's like you're part of the brotherhood or the sisterhood, and
Mm.
they're cheering for you and
Yeah,
they
man,
want you to do well,
that's another thing. That's another thing worth mentioning. Yeah, in not just the culture of like the climbing center that I went to last night, but yeah, just any type of activities like that in general. Maybe, if you're on the bike trail and you're just wearing like your cargo shorts and a t-shirt, whatever. But if you're on a $2,000 bike and you've got spandex with the butt pads in them, and the aerodynamic helmet, and sunglasses and everything, um it's kind of like a signal to somebody else, like, hey, this is a dude who's in it like I am. You know,
Yeah.
it's that familiarity. And it one thing that I love about Korea in general, like at the climbing uh center, the everybody there, you know, they it's like you can see people that are not from the same groups applauding the other people, cheering them on. Um there's this there's this respect, people waiting, there's very organized. Like I said, there's 100 people in this joint,
Yeah.
and if you're going up this wall, so this is, again, there's no straps or anything, this is you know, it's like not even 2 floors high, so you're doing a lot of like lateral climbing and stuff. And so you have, and each of the, for anybody that has never gone climbing like myself, the colors indicate the route. So you have to kind of look where your route is that you want to do, and you have to look at who's on the wall, because you can't overlap them or get too close, you know, for safety.
Hmm.
Well, how do you draw that line? There's no lines saying like how far to the left, how far to the right, when can I start? There might be 3, 4 people working on the same area. Um, if I climb, my first reaction when I did my first few climbs, the first one I started really easy, then I hit one where, you know, my friends are directing me, and I failed and I fell. My first reaction was to get up and do it again, right? I mean, that's what you do. Like, I was only on the
Right,
wall for a
right.
second. I was there for a second. Come on, I'm gonna get up and do it again. And I look back behind me over my shoulder, and you just feel it. It's like, no, 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 there's an order here, right? That was your
Yeah.
turn. Rotate. There's no lines or anything. It's just this kind of like respect for the people that are in it and doing it. And you know, you're there together and you're watching each other. I think some of that might be related to you know, this this impulse to like throw money at the hobby to kind of show someone else. It's like find your community. I don't know.
I know exactly what you're saying. There's an etiquette to it, and there's like I'm trying to I can the only thing I can compare it to is my jujitsu classes, because I remember we ran a drill where we would you would grapple with someone, and then if you win, you get to hold the position and that person goes to the back of the line. The only problem was I no one ever taught me how to score a point or how that works. So 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 I just went out there, and then someone would twist me around and throw me around, and I would try fight back as best I can. And I'm like, did I win? And they're like, no, you got to go back in line. I'm like, oh, okay, I lost. And I I just had no idea. It
Yeah, it
was
would be a
just
linguistic challenge.
I was completely green and just completely clueless. I was having fun, and I didn't seem to have like I don't think I was ruining it for anybody, but that was my biggest fear, was like, how do I even more so than doing the actual rock climbing or doing the actual jujitsu grappling, I just want to fit in. And so
Yeah,
I was really cognizant of like, where should I go next? How can I make this machine keep operating so that I'm not I'm not that guy, you know?
yeah.
And so I think you were also doing the same thing. You're like, you fell down and you're like, I'm gonna jump back up again. Oh, well, let me look around. Oh, I see. So it's my turn. I gotta go there. And then I
Yeah.
wait, a couple turns, then it's my turn again. And you know,
It's a culture of social awareness.
hmm.
Not to digress too much, but I think it's relative enough. I was talking to a student today in a counseling session, and her and I got into it a little bit about this. How, or no, this was yesterday. How, okay, so she's had some experience. She's been to Germany and Spain, and she's headed to England. Um, and she said she likes it because people just talk to you. And of course, we know the stereotype. If you're waiting in line at a gas station in Wyoming, the person in front of you, you know, might turn around and say, "Hey, did you catch the game?" Or, you know,
Yeah.
whatever. You might have small talk. There's really no small talk in Korea. And uh, so we were debating in this conversation, just like, why is that? And we came up with a theory, it's just an idea, okay, you know, not some, you know, anthropologist or linguist or something. But the theory that we kind of boiled it down to is maybe the reason you don't have social interactions that are spontaneous and small talk like that when you're waiting for the bus stop is because of social awareness, because it is feels a little rude to disrupt somebody's moment. You know,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
we use it in English all the time, man. Like if I was at a bus stop in Chicago and I didn't have a watch on me or something, I don't know, just make an example, but and I want to ask the time of the person next to me, what would you say? You'd kind of try to like get in their field of view and be like, excuse me, sorry to bother you, but can you tell me the time? Okay. I said, excuse me, sorry. But I'm not apologizing, right? I'm
No,
just like,
no, it's all
I'm just being polite.
semantics
I'm just
kind
being
of a
polite.
thing. Yeah,
But if you
yeah.
see at the bus stop and you're in, you know, that Seoul station here, and you see like one Korean to another, and they have to interrupt them. Usually, it's like an older person, maybe looking for directions. Let's say, make an example. They might be much more. You can watch it in the way they move. They're dipping their body further. There's this, you know, choice. Maybe not that extreme, but like there's a real apology. It's like, hey, I am so sorry to fuck with you right now,
Yeah.
but I just don't know where I am. You know, you might encounter that type of person interacting in the States, but that's pretty extreme as a feeling. I feel like it's more default here, and it's because of that social awareness. You know, like you don't talk on your phone on the bus, or if you do, you're going to get dirty looks.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, for sure, for sure. And also my wife has told me like, the word sorry from my mouth is utterly meaningless now. Like I have
You
I have
spent it.
I mean, to say I spent it is to, I mean, I've driven that word into the ground and it's lost all meaning whatsoever, because I'm sorry, even if I don't bump into somebody and I almost do, it's like, oh, I'm sorry, it's like, I'm from Minnesota, man. What can I do?
Yeah,
And Minnesota is, kind of the worst because we're probably the nicest on the exterior and probably the most passive aggressive underneath the surface of people that could possibly exist on the planet, because it's like,
I've heard it stated that Minnesotans are the Canadians of America, if that makes any sense.
yeah, I think that makes sense. That makes sense. I mean, we do, underneath the surface, if you scratch a little bit, you'll find some resentments that run pretty deep. But right on that surface level, we're very much like, oh, I'm sorry, that kind of
Uh,
um
I'll have to rethink about your apologies to me from now on.
yeah,
Really
right,
sincere.
right.
Really sincere.
I have to
Yeah.
change it to pardon me or something.
Yeah,
Um,
so I think that going back to like the gym etiquette and the the bike routes and everything, I think a lot of that flows nicely here because of that social awareness. And
yeah,
when you criticize certain things like how, talking to her yesterday about how she didn't like it because it seems, oh, it feels antisocial. I want to be in a place that's more social. It's like, is that really what you're feeling? And she's like, yeah, maybe not. Maybe it is more like I'm just watching out for everybody.
yeah.
Like I didn't put this out there either. This was like more her idea than mine. Um, but I tend to agree with that thesis. That seems reasonable. Um, and I think it's for the most part it's positive experience. Though she did make one counterpoint. She's like, yeah, but what about old people? Like old women, like Achima, right?
Yeah,
Getting shoulder checked. I'm like, well, okay, that's maybe a different thing.
that almost belongs in a different basket, and it's like, they're almost like, hey, I got 20 years of, I earned this. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not, I didn't spend the first 20 years of my life, paying deference to a bunch of old ladies so that when it's my turn, I have to, you know, be polite to some, 19-year-old. I get to,
uh,
I don't know.
we'll
It's,
we'll see how the next generation does it. But
yeah,
for listeners that don't know, if you're coming to Korea, you might get shoulder checked by an old woman. Just roll with it. Just
just
roll with it.
roll with it. Yeah. Getting, nothing bothers
You're
me
getting on
more
the
than when
bus and
people,
she's behind you, you are not getting on before her.
no, 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 no. I was gonna say, yeah, it's a very fascinating thing. I wonder, being the outsider, the foreigner, and then joining one of these groups. Like when I joined jujitsu gym, and I did find myself hitting a certain wall where I kind of made people uncomfortable, just by virtue of being a foreigner. It's
Hmm.
like I threw off the, I don't know what the word is. I don't know if nunchi is the right word, because
Yeah. Yeah.
nunchi is, because
That's
like
like social
I
awareness.
practiced good nunchi. Like my etiquette was fine. I know how to navigate those situations, but I just know that like anything that isn't within the norm can create a feeling of like awkwardness. And
Hmm.
it's like, oh, having this, 40-year-old 6'7" white belt trying to do,
Yeah.
roll with all of us. And it's just like, in the back of their minds, I wonder if they weren't thinking like, God, I wish this guy would just quit, so we could get back to normal. And that I did, those things are tough to overcome. And especially when you're out in the country a little bit, where I'm in Gyeonggi-do. If I were in Seoul, it would be totally different, because there would be two or three other, foreigners in there, and it would be fine. um
Yeah.
but for me, as a non-Korean speaking, um foreigner, who's also probably 15 or 20 years older than a lot of the guys in there, it was just, I was definitely a fish out of water. And I felt like I was almost like tainting the well a little bit, like, man, this would be perfect if Grandpa Jones wasn't trying to, you know horn in on all the fun activities, so.
Yeah. I think also in Seoul, yeah, like last night, I was really the only foreigner. I don't think any of the groups had foreigners. Yeah. Yeah. And but in Seoul you don't really get the same, it's different level of awareness. I didn't feel
Yeah,
like I was catching a lot of eyes from people or anything. I don't know. Maybe I've been here for so long too. You know too. You just
you
start
get kind
dialing
of
it out.
immune to it. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I've caught my reflection in the window of like a passing bus, and it was like, "Whoa, white guy!" I'm like, "Oh, that's me." Well, yeah, you're here for a long time. You're not used to
Yeah.
seeing. Um, but yeah, I think it is a little different, though. Yeah, I'm trying to imagine what would be awkward at that place last night. If I went by myself, I think that would be pretty weird. I did see a few solo climbers,
Yeah.
because they were kind of around our group, like, you're kind of working your way down the wall and the courses, checking different things out. There was a few solo people that were um near us, but yeah, you kind of see them. They have like their own shoes and all the custom stuff, and they're probably like semi-pro or something. Maybe they, at that point you are part of the culture. You know the owner. You didn't see any.
Yeah.
What I'm trying to say is, you didn't see any noobs. You didn't see any like people like me.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so I think that's a little bit of a challenge. Things are often in groups. You want to
I
go with do a
I
thing.
totally agree with that. If I'd have walked in with like a black belt and just started effing everybody up left and right, they probably would have kind of respected it. And it's like, whoa,
Yeah.
this dude is like, he's right on it. But it wasn't like that. It was pretty much me just getting crushed by people that weigh half my weight. And
Yeah.
and I was just doing it to get in shape and just for something fun, but it was just a little bit. I ended up quitting after 3 months. I got injured, and I sometimes regret not continuing it. And then in the same respect, I never quite felt like I fit in, and a lot of that is my fault for not speaking Korean well enough either, you know. and maybe not making the effort. So it was kind of like
You just got to
something
find
like,
things
yeah.
that are fun if you want to keep it. You want to keep it up. I think it's got to be something that's enjoyable. Like I don't know. Yeah. For me, any type of like physical activity or anything, any hobby, if it's not truly enjoyable, if I don't want it, like those times when you're feeling lazy or bored, it's not the thing you turn to. It's not the page you start thinking about,
Hmm.
or whatever. It's not it's not where your focus goes when you have downtime. Then for me, I usually take that as a sign that I'm just not getting into it. I don't know. So like for example, like right now, if like I really enjoyed last night. Maybe I could get into climbing actually. It was a
Yeah.
really fun event. I everything. Oh, I should have prefaced that in this whole podcast. I was talking about the culture. I never put my judgment out there. I mean, I don't want to sound like it was positive or negative in that comment. I was just trying to make an objective statement of what I saw. I want to say my own opinion, which is I thought it was awesome.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
Yeah. Yeah.
I liked that it was weird. For me, it was
Yeah.
weird. I the 25,000 won, totally worth it. I'll pay it
Yeah.
again.
Yeah.
I'll do that shit again.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, but because it was interesting, like today when I get a little free time, I'm opening the computer. I'm going to be checking out like where can I buy shoes and because right now I've got some interest, but that's got to sustain. Otherwise, I got to find something else to do, right? So,
It depends on the sport too. You know, the culture of climbing might be totally different than the culture of jujitsu, the culture of golf, the culture of
oh yeah, man.
whatnot. So
Yeah,
for that, it might just be like, hey, all aboard! Like, that this is for you, this is for me. We're climbers first. We don't care about nationality. And it could have just been also the dojo that I went to was just maybe the guy that ran it wasn't really comfortable with English, and if I had gone to another one it would have been a totally different experience. So I'm not gonna it's hard for me to just generalize off of one experience, um
yeah.
so
Yeah, and it could be that like you didn't feel comfortable with like the language barrier, or the teacher wasn't very good at working over a language barrier. But I've heard of I have stories from friends that have had no language skills and they've lived out here and they were able to accomplish and have some really good times with like, oh, one friend I was just talking about that went to visit in the summer. When we lived together in Busan, he took drum lessons and he spoke North Korean. His teacher spoke no English.
yeah, yeah.
He's taking drum lessons and he loved it. Loved the teacher. Loved
Wow.
the yeah. So yeah, I think it's it's dynamic. Every situation is unique.
They both
Yeah.
spoke Metallica though, so that's
Yeah,
all that
that's all you need,
matters.
bro.
um
Yeah.
who's really good at this sort of stuff is Kevin. Our he's not here today, but I find he, free diving, swimming, all those things, like he's got that kind of fearless, I think you do too, but I mean I think I'm probably the most trepidatious when it comes to trying something like that.
Well,
um
I like trying stuff, but you know me, man. I like running, playing music. These are things by myself. Surfing. Like
right.
Kevin's like, yeah, I'm gonna go free diving. That's with people. And like
Yeah,
he does improv comedy.
I know,
Like,
I know.
yeah, man,
I
that's a different
Improv comedy does not work so well in the mirror. It's hard to
yeah.
yes and yourself, you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
yeah.
He likes reaching out and joining the party. That's a cool thing about him.
Yeah, yeah, it is. Yeah. And it's something I kind of yeah, I'm a little jealous. I'm not as fearless as that. But I'm getting better as I get older. I did join the jujitsu gym, and that was a huge step for me. So yeah, it was cool.
Nice.
That was cool. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, do you want to wrap it here? I think we kind
Yeah,
of that was a good sesh.
that was awesome. Yeah, it was a great topic, and I wasn't actually expecting to go so deep into our kind of like these hobbies and activities, but I think a lot of our listeners can really relate to what we're talking about. And I don't if we had one message for them, my message would be go for it. Like,
Well, yeah, especially I think, and we talked, I think, in a previous podcast about hobbies and things that you can do. And I think it's okay to repeat, some of these positive messages and encouragement for a lot of people that are coming here. If you've, whatever your gig might be, Yeah, if you're, working at the Hagwon, you're doing the thing 5 days a week, and then, at night it's like, what can you do? Well, yeah, you can hit up the clubs and stuff if that's your jam. But if you're doing
Yeah,
that 5 days a week as well, you're gonna get, just a heads up, I think you're gonna get kind of bored. There's so much rad stuff going on in a city this big. There's
I
so much,
know.
like, I've been here for, what is it, in Seoul, was it 13 years?
Yeah.
And what I saw just last night, and I'm a extroverted dude. I go and do a lot of stuff. I never saw this last night. And it wasn't just like, oh, it's climbing. It was a whole culture going on there. Like a whole like little ecosystem going on,
Yes.
They're all doing their own, they're all doing that dance. And I had no idea that was above me when I'm walking the streets of Hongdae. It's like
And
right there.
you walk into that door and it opens up an entire world of friendships and connections. I swear they're going to, a couple of them might be shy. I'm not going to lie, but there are going to be people that are going to embrace you open arms, and they're going to want you to enjoy it as much as they do. And they're going to
Yeah.
want you to love Korea. And it really, here's my last anecdote here was when I wanted to learn jujitsu, I was like, well, great. Now I'm going to have to drive, 45 minutes to find a jujitsu dojo. And what happened? Open up my Google Maps. There's literally one 3 blocks away from my house. I
Yeah.
mean, I've driven by there 1,000 times, didn't even know that's what it was.
Well, yeah,
And
like
so,
sometimes it's like, it might be 10 stories above you,
yeah,
Like,
right,
you
right,
just
right.
don't see, it's not there.
Yeah, it's it's amazing all the little things that are hidden around it. And with the technology now, I say, when you have one of those nights in Hongdae, you wake up hungover and you're like, I'm done, I'm done. Try something else. Go for it. You will not regret it. So with that said, you guys know where to find us. You can go to thesoulpatch.com. You can listen to our episodes right there on our website. You can send us an email at podcast@thesoulpatch.com. If you want to, if you have some ideas for some shows, or if you want to be a guest on our show, that is podcast@thesoulpatch.com. And if you want to do us a solid and hit that Patreon button and buy us a cup of coffee, that just helps us, goes towards the funds of keeping the podcast going a little bit longer, lets us do more things. And with that said, we'll see you in a couple weeks. Thanks, everybody. Happy New
There
Year.
he is.
All right. Thanks, Ryan.